The word racism is like ketchup. It can be put on practically anything, and demanding evidence makes you a racist. Thomas Sowell. What's up, everybody? We back again with another round. We on number 8. Let's go ahead and dive into these numbers and dive into some news and a few articles and documentaries I have to recommend for you guys. So the national debt steadily going up. We know that number just does nothing but go up. So if we take a look up here, last week, this is where we were at. This week, we're around here. So we're up about plus 16 billion in the week. And let's see, Bitcoin's price is at 59,980. At the time that I was writing the numbers down, it was at about a little over 60,000. So compared to last week, we're up 6,000. So that helped me out for my DCA journey, which we'll get into here in a little bit. Market cap has climbed up a little bit to 1.18 trillion. Reachable nodes, like I said, I'm combining Tor nodes and reachable nodes as well. So if we take a look at those numbers last week, well, I didn't combine the two, so I'm starting this week. We're at 31,200. And another thing is I had to push the day up. So this isn't tomorrow, this isn't Sunday. I had to push the day because I'm getting ready to hop on the bus and the train. And so I'm trying to get this knocked out really quick, but we're 18% from all-time highs, which we're 184 days from. If we take a look at total assets market by their market cap, Bitcoin is still hovering around number 10, slowly climbing away from Berkshire and getting close to Meta, about to leapfrog them here in a little bit. If we take a look at the daily chart, right now we're pinging off of that 50-day moving average, and the RSI is also climbing steadily back up. So we're at 54 on the RSI. We were coming down here when we were reaching them lows, especially a part of like last week. We were hovering around the like 33s, 34s. And then now we're climbing right back up. Like I said last week, there's a lot of support in this area, hovering around between the 50,000 to 53,000 range. So there's a lot of support. Bounce here in this area, came down here, bounced up, came down here, bounced up, came down here and bounced up again. So we'll see if this 50-day moving average is a key level of resistance, see if we kind of hit a wall there or see if we'll break through that. Touch on this 200-day moving average, which is sitting around 64,000, and then we'll kind of see where we're at around there. If we take a look at some recent news, MicroStrategy just did what MicroStrategy continues to do. They continue to keep buying the dip. They raise more money, get more funds. So they just acquired 1.1 billion worth of Bitcoin, part of, MicroStrategy's strategy, which Michael Saylor is very transparent about. So you can go see when they make their buys, what they bought their buy at, what their average cost is for the company. Bitcoin and crypto exchange HTX to integrate Lightning Network. So they're the third largest network as far as volume that they have. They're not the third largest overall, but I think they're like number 5 or number 6. So a big Bitcoin exchange that's adding Lightning to their network. If you guys are following Coinbase, they just added Lightning to their platform recently. So HTX is another one. So that's great for people that if they do happen to keep their Bitcoin on those exchanges, that they're able to be able to send it through Lightning, which is great. But like I said, I'm a firm believer of getting your crypto, getting your Bitcoin off of those exchanges and getting them into your hardware wallets or however you decide to do your security. Something else that's happened recently in the news is Japan's largest power company, TEPCO, is mining Bitcoin using renewable energy, which is great for the planet. And, showing that Bitcoin, they try to say that mining Bitcoin was bad for the climate and things like that. So the further we get away from that, that's great. And also other countries are already doing that, like El Salvador and other countries, a few other countries down in South America. The fear and greed index, we're still kind of hovering in between fear and neutral. As you can see, the last week we've been kind of steadily at fear. And once again, like I said, once you go back and you look at that RSI, there's a lot of correlation between RSI when it's around the 50s and below. That's kind of where we're at, the more fear. And then when we're heading up closer towards like 60 and above and 70, we'll see that scale tip from fear to more greed and extreme greed. And we'll just keep an eye out on that. If we look at Bitcoin mining costs, we've kind of went back up to 77,000. We took a dip last week. Last week we were at 72,500. This week we're at 77,000. So about a 5,000 increase in Bitcoin mining prices. If we take a look at ETFs, um, you can go on here and take a look and see who has what. But there was when the price was dropping, like I said, there's going to be correlation between more outflows happening in the ETFs when the price is going down. When the price is going back up, we're gonna see more inflows coming in. So last week there was 900,587 Bitcoin in Bitcoin ETF holdings. This week we're at 907,000. So we've had about 7,000 worth of inflows coming in. A documentary that I recently watched was Bitcoin, The End of Money as We Know It. It was a really good documentary, and it kind of explained how over time in history, anytime we had something new, there was always pushback, there was always change, right? There was pushback when the internet came around, there was pushback with cell phones, there was pushback with computers, there was pushback when vehicles were around. You know, they made it at a point to where three people had to be driving and monitoring the vehicle before people were able to just drive them themselves. So it was talking about how money is changing as we know it, because there's been a lot of fiat currencies created over time. The only thing that's kind of lasted or still been around all this time is gold. But you can go, there's a lot of channels and articles where you can see the comparison of gold to Bitcoin or where the dollar is at and things like that. And you can see what you would have got on returns if you would have held gold. So this is not really diving into that. But if we're talking about longevity, gold has been really the only thing that's been able to last through all the fiat currencies, because we never had anything like Bitcoin before. So this documentary kind of dives into a little bit of that. So it wasn't too long of a documentary. I think it was like an hour and 20 minutes, and it was a good one. And it came out 3 years ago. A good podcast to watch was this one by Walker, the Bitcoin podcast. He had on Andy Yin, and he's the CEO, I believe, of Proton Wallet, or one of them. But he was talking about the journey of where Proton Wallet, how they started, where they're going. And it was a really good listen to hear the innovation that they're doing. You know, they're at like 100 million users already, which is insane and really good for them. And they're all about privacy. So they were talking about, you know, privacy, censorship, things that they're continuing to build on, and where they're looking at taking the company moving forward, and a lot of transparency. And I've been using more since I'm overseas. I've been using their VPN. I have another VPN, but I've been using the Proton VPN. And then I've also told a few of my friends to start trying them out as well. And it's working very smoothly, and I like what they have going on. If we take a look at my DCA journey, so this past DCA, this last Monday, like I said, every Monday I have my DCA set up for $100, so you guys can see, you know, what it would be like, whatever you contribute, whatever, you know, if you can only do $5, if you do $5,000, whatever the case is. I'm just playing guinea pig to see where we would be at. So I've made 7 DCAs so far. $700 is what I've put in. This is how much Bitcoin I've accumulated. And at the value of today's price, or when I did this, you know, the price is fluctuating because it's live. But last week I was down 10% because Bitcoin price took a pretty steep dive. But just continue to put blinders on, not worry about that. I'm up now. Now I'm up almost half, you know, pretty much 0.5%. So just like that, from down 10% to now I'm in the plus by continuing this journey. So like I said, this is going to be interesting to see as the year goes on. I didn't bring up the article, but there's an article called Advances in Distributed Security, which pretty much it talked about a new way of securing systems on the internet without having to trust one company or person completely. I meant to tag it on here, but I'm sure if you just Google it or go on to the Satoshi Nakamoto Institute, that's where I found it at, and that's where I read it at. So I'm going through all those articles, and my goal is to try to read all of them. And then also Bitcoin, the end of money as we know it. And that's that documentary that I just showed you guys. Like I said, change takes time and money is changing. Some updates on some of the apps that I'm using, like the Fold app. I got 35 more sats, so I'm at 940. So I don't know if they're listening or what, but all of a sudden they started throwing more sats my way because last week I only got like up to 10. And or actually no, it's the reverse. I'm sorry. So with Fountain it was only 10, and this week with Fountain I'm at plus 120. So I'm at 289 sats now with Fountain. So they've been throwing me more for listening, and then Fold went down a little bit. Still never took my test for Sailor Academy, slacking on that. Need to get back on it. My miners are still running good. Another solo miner hit, but unfortunately it wasn't mine. But hey, we're in the game. And like I said, I'm not really too worried about being able to access my node, because for whatever reason I can access my node. I can see that it's up and running. I can see the apps that I had downloaded prior to me leaving, being international, they were running just fine. But for whatever reason, I can go on, see them, but I'm not able to add anything to them. So I can still check my miners. I can check the pool I'm a part of. I can check the public pool that I'm a part of. I can see that the miners are running great. I can still see my node is up and running. So everything is still running smooth. I figured out how I'm going to be able to access that. From once I get back to the States, I need to buy a few routers and things like that. And then I'll talk about that with you guys with later videos. I want to kind of get it set up first before I start talking about it. But other than that, that's all I got for you guys. I'm finally about to dive into this one, Gradually Then Suddenly by Parker A. Lewis. I was going to do the Federal Reserve, The Secrets of the Federal Reserve by Eustace Mullins, but I need to take a break from the banking stuff. My brain just can't handle no more of that craziness. So I'll dive back into that one after I finish Gradually Then Suddenly. So I need a little bit of break from the banking system, and I need to dive into something else. So I'll be diving onto that. I got about a 3-hour train ride, about to slide up to another country. But like I said, I appreciate any of you guys that tapped in with me. Those of you guys are subscribing. Like I said, if you guys have any questions or if there's anything that you want me to cover, just let me know down in the comments, and I'll get with you guys next week.